Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Act 3 on CHLY 101.7 FM. Super glad that you joined us today. And thank you so much for all of your patience in this last little while and having so many encore productions. Few things have happened in my world. I'm delighted to share with you that I'm about, as we speak, to become a grandmother for the third time. This baby is on its way. It's kept me a little bit back from being with you all. On top of that, I've also, we've lost another dog in my house. And when we lose animals, it's never easy. So my mother-in-law, who you all heard about, had a beautiful lab named Bear. And Bear is the inspiration to today's show. Today's show, we are talking to an extraordinary human being, one of my favorite people on the planet, simply because what their organization does is the stuff that makes people feel good all over. And they have a brand new show themselves. So I'd like to introduce you to an old friend, Karen Kamachi from Raps. Raps, how would Raps? I just called you Raps. I'm sorry, Karen. Welcome to the program, Karen. I'm dedicating this to Bear and to Raps because, you know, when you lose a pet, it hits you in ways, and our listeners know that I had two Jack Russells for many years that used to bark during my show, and I lost them last year. And so this was actually the 1-year anniversary of their passing. And I've been following on Facebook Raps for a while, and I wasn't really clear about what it was. What inspired me about it, though, is what you do to community. So why don't you tell everybody what Raps is?
RAPS, it stands for the Regional Animal Protection Society. We have Canada's largest cat sanctuary that we support. We have a not-for-profit veterinary hospital, and the thrift stores that I manage help to pay for those social enterprises. So, you know, I run a couple of thrift stores, and it just turned out they decided that was a great idea, and they put us on TV.
Well, they didn't just put you on TV. They put you on a really cool show.
They put us on Discovery. Yeah,
we're on Discovery, right? Discovery. That's amazing. So, yeah, tell everybody about your show.
It's called Pets and Pickers. It's on every Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, and it runs for 8 weeks. And it's all about the animals and the people we help, because Raps' philosophy is helping animals and their people.
Yeah.
And so the thrift stores earn money via binning and like, you know, storage wars kind of idea to help pay for the pets in need.
So when we're talking about paying for the pets in need, what we're talking about really is persons that have low income or very limited income can bring their unwell animal to the pet hospital. And is there an evaluation? Like, how is it a means test? Like, how do people how are people supported by Raps in this way?
Usually the vets and the CEO of Raps, A.L. Richmond, they will assess the situation. They will figure out what their need is, why they have a need, and they will go from there. Not everybody is entitled to full sponsorship. Sometimes they get half, sometimes they get whole. You know, they do it case by case by case.
But the idea is to make sure that the animal isn't put down early or anything like that, right? It's to try and recover and save.
Yeah, Kathy, Raps, one of the reasons why I'm with Raps is because of their no-kill policy.
Yeah,
they really believe that animals should not be put to death because of a behavioral issue, or because you don't have the means to pay for it. So that's why I am with Raps. That's why I support it. That's why I work as hard as I do, is because of our no-kill, do everything we can to keep people with their pets. And if you do have behavior issues, that's why, you know, we put our cats in our cat sanctuary.
Yeah.
So that's why I love Raps. That's why I'm with Raps. I've been Raps for 14 years because of that.
So how long have you been with Raps? And what brought you to Raps? Was it always a social enterprise through the thrift store, or was it in its
No, I was scooping cat litter. I was scooping cat litter at the cat sanctuary. Yeah, my girlfriend was volunteering there and said, "Oh, come and help me." And of course, she didn't let me open up the can. She made me scoop the cat litter. Margaret, if you're hearing that. And Margaret is also on the board of directors for Raps. And so I scooped cat litter, and I did specialty events, like we took bunnies out to kids' schools, and
Yeah.
I would do specialty events, and then a portion of my life I was a florist. So they had a big gala. 400 people were showing up, and they needed somebody to do their table centers.
Yeah.
So I did their table centers, and the CEO saw how I could move a force of people, and then he offered me a job at the thrift store, and here I am.
Wow. So the thrift store itself, was it new back 14 years ago, or has it been around longer, or the organization
We have
around
two
longer?
of them.
Okay.
The organization has been around for 25 years.
Wow.
Wraps itself has been around for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
The thrift store has been around for 14. And then when they hired me as manager, they hired me to run their second store. And their second store that I'm in right now is 2 stories high and quite large. The other one's quite small. And then that manager retired, and so I took over that one as well. So now I run both of them.
So Karen, are there animals in the store as well, or what I'm hearing is that there's 3 different locations, right?
Yeah.
Right. Or actually 4 for that matter, because you said there's 2 thrift stores, and then the Raps Hospital, and then the Raps Cat Sanctuary. So,
and the adoption center where you would
adoption center. Okay.
We have an adoption center where you would adopt cats and bunnies.
Yeah.
The occasional dog is also on the property of the cat sanctuary.
I see. Do you find that at certain times of the year you have more of an influx of animals than at other times?
For sure. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about the adoption scene because I'm not the manager of the animals, but the answer is yes. I mean, we even have people giving their dogs to us in the thrift store. They just walk in, hand me the leash, and walk out.
And that's that.
That's that.
And so how do you cope with that when that happens? I mean, what do you all of a sudden have to do with this abandoned creature?
I call up Shayna. She's our adoption manager, and she comes by and she picks it up and does that. Actually, in part of the TV show, you will see somebody that does happen.
Don't give me too many details of that. I can't wait to watch the next one. So for those of you who've just tuned in, you are tuned into Act 3 on CHLY 101.7, and we are boasting about a brand new show that's on the Discovery Channel called Pets and Pickers. And my old friend Karen is one of the stars of this show. But what's interesting about it is that it is a journey in the program itself of the lives of some of the people and their pets that are saved because of the social enterprise of the thrift store, right?
That's correct. We actually have pets coming from the island.
Yeah.
To Raps because of our social enterprise.
Yeah.
We also do a lot of stuff in-house. Like we have a hyperbaric chamber for animals, which it's the only one in Canada. And I think they're actually probably North America. And so we do that. We do a lot of joint stuff. You need a new knee, you need a new ankle. We do that in-house. We don't send it out. So, I mean, we have some really specialized, kind-hearted, really excellent veterinarians. I use them myself. I have 2 dogs, and I wouldn't take my dogs anywhere else.
Well, of course not. I mean, it's brilliant to have them. In watching the first episode, there were a few things I really noted. And one of them was that many of the vets there were international. They'd come in from other countries, and they came to Raps because it was the kind of environment that they'd always seen themselves working in, supporting people and their animals, and particularly those that weren't able to afford it. And so there was the one doctor who was taking care of a cat that was a little on the feral side. And I would like for the audience to watch the program. So we're going to give them information about that in a little bit. But I'm curious about whatever happened to the cat, because he was saying that if the cat actually was more patient and better, he might like to take that cat home to his wife.
So far, to my knowledge, the cat remains at the cat sanctuary. But sometimes it can take up to a year before a feral cat is sort of domesticated. So I don't think it's out of the question that he does take that cat. It will just take some time of our workers to go and pat the cat and spend some time with it. So it's not so scared.
So I want to talk about your role, which is to be a picker. You run the stores and you guys are pickers. So what, ultimately, I'm assuming from the show, you're getting these big crate containers.
They're about 8 by 8 tube.
Can we talk about those a little bit, and how does that all feed into what you do at the store?
You know, I mean, I was donated 170 of those bins. And it's been quite the thing to organize 170 bins. I have them all over the place. The cat sanctuary's got a pile here. They're everywhere. And they were going to go to the landfill. They were going to go to the landfill. It was the middle of COVID, so nobody wanted to purchase them because it was in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
And I told UPAC I'd take the lot. Since then, I've gained a relationship with UPAC so that they donate all of their, these are bins that have been abandoned because for failure to pay. And so they're going to continue to save bins for the thrift store because they know the good work we do.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a great partnership.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like a treasure hunt. And so, yeah, we have 170 bins. We've gone through about half at this point. We keep on getting more bins. And we're also going to be hunting differently as it goes by. You know, we'll be looking into houses, binning a whole house, binning cars, binning all sorts of stuff. So we're started out at bins, but that is only the tip of the pick and iceberg.
Yeah. And did you ever think you were going to be a picker?
Never.
Right?
Never.
Yeah.
Never. You know, the CEO came once and he said, I'm going to make a YouTube channel of you because you and Amy find all this weird stuff.
Yeah. And
the very first bin we found before TV, we found a lot of S&M stuff. It was amazing. Like a crap load of it.
Wow.
Yeah, Amy came around the parking lot. It was a bizarre deal. And then, you know, I found a bomb.
You found a bomb? Whoa. Back up. Let's talk about that. Let's not rush ahead. What do you mean by the bomb? Give me the bomb.
Like a bomb.
Like a bomb. Like a
homemade bomb. It was about the size of a toilet paper roll.
Wow.
And Amy and this other fellow, Marty, who you saw on TV, he said, Karen, that's a bomb. And I'm like, okay. And it, you know, we found tons of guns and ammunition. So I wasn't frightened by it, which was kind of, well, it was almost borderline stupid because I could blow myself up because I took the bomb and I threw it on my car seat. And they're like, hey, Karen, don't throw that around. It's a bomb.
Oh my gosh.
So I go to the RCMP office, right? And I go and I plop it on the counter like it was a statue or something. Or stuff.
I can't believe you did that.
Yeah, I can't believe I did that either. So I stick it on there and I say to the RCMP, I found a bomb. And she's like, pardon me? And I said, I found a bomb. And she said, would you stand back? And so I stood back. The police officer came out, took me outside, and then talked to me about where I found the bomb and all this kind of stuff. And then I wasn't allowed to leave the RCMP station until the bomb squad came by and defused it. So all of 5 Road, if you know anything about Richmond, all of 5 Road, it's a big street, was cornered off because it could have blown up the city block.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
And here you are, Karen Kamachi, just walking on in, plopping it on the desk.
Yeah,
I am not surprised, my friend. I am not surprised.
I phoned my husband. He said, yeah, you can imagine. I phoned my husband. He said, are you nuts? Like, what were you thinking? And I said to him, I'm not so sure I was thinking, right? I just.
Oh, and this is Canada. You don't even think that there's going to be a bomb at the best of times, right?
Right. Inside. You know, in hindsight, you know, there was an American flag folded up like somebody passed away, you know, in the triangle. And there was some other stuff. I just didn't put it together, Kath. I just didn't put it together. So I stood there and I waited. And so I phoned my boss, AL, and he came, he said, I'll buy anything from Starbucks. So he runs over there with my iced tea and he said, Karen, I'm from Israel. And in Israel, we know not to pick up bombs. What happened to you? And I'm like, I'm Canadian. Like, I'd never thought that I would be in danger. No. So, you know, they took it away. It was a real bomb. And, you know, and I found many weird things like that, you know, enough drugs, enough lube. I could lube myself to your house.
Full disclosure, don't.
I won't. But, you know, like I have found amazing things. I found some hysterical things in there.
Yeah.
And the great thing is you never know what you're buying. And here's the other thing. It fills my store because yes, the thrift stores get a lot of stuff, but what makes Wraps thrift stores different is the volume. I can flip it over, and I charge less than others because I have it at such great volume. So that's why people love shopping here.
Yeah.
But no, Amy and I love that pick. We love searching it out, figuring out what that is. I spent half my day going, what is that thing?
No,
so, and I love that.
Well, I'm just delighted that you're okay, and Richmond wasn't blown up. For those of you that are just tuning into this show, my friend Karen Kamachi, full disclosure, we went to high school together many years.
Yes, we sure did.
Last week. Let's just leave it at that. Thank you. It was too long ago for us to go there. Her husband and I have been friends for as long as Karen and I have. So Chris, you'll hear us talking about Chris Kamachi and a few other amazing people that I grew up with. And to find Karen in this situation, I lived on the mainland for many years. As our listeners know, I've only been on Vancouver Island for about 11 or 12 years now. And it's, you never imagine what's going to happen to your friends. And then one day you sort of run across something on Facebook that says, well, I got this new kind of TV show going on. And that's just what happened with Karen. So
nobody ever thought.
No.
I mean, I was in the band, but even that, nobody ever thought that of me. And to be honest with you, I never thought that of me. It's just, I was in the right place at the right time.
You were in the right place and the right time. And, I'm sure that Chris will have encouraged you a big way, because he is a very supportive and fabulous human being in his own right.
I could not do it without him.
No.
Because somebody has to be holding the fort while there's a camera in front of my face. He has been incredibly supportive. I could not do it without him.
Yeah. And you guys have been married for what, 27 years now? 30 years?
26, yeah, 26 years.
I'm close.
Yeah.
I'm close.
Yeah, 26 years. It's been a good 26 years.
And I'm super glad for the both of you, for sure. I'm curious about the thrift store part of it. So if you could tell us a little bit more about it, because some of the things that I've seen from the picking perspective on just the first episode alone, you've got some really large items that come out of those boxes. How many square feet is your store? Can you give us a little bit of an invitation about, where it is located, all the good stuff?
The store that I am mostly at, I have two, but the biggest store is on Francis Road and Garden City here in Richmond. It is a 2-story store. If you're from Richmond, they used to say it was the home of the slider, because it used to be like, one of those corner convenience stores where kids would go get a slider.
Yeah.
So, and people come in and say, where are they? And I'm like, sorry, that was the guy before me 4 years ago still. But it is a 2-story store. So we're one of the few thrift stores that actually takes furniture. Most thrift stores do not. Here's the other thing. 100% of the proceeds go to charity. Other thrift stores out there that you hear of do not.
Yeah.
Ours does. 100% of the proceeds goes to our charity and goes to the social enterprise. So we take furniture at this location, clothing, cameras, records, all that sort of stuff is on the second floor. The second floor has all of our purses, our handbags, electronics. You go downstairs, that's where the donations are dropped off, and that's where our furniture, our jewelry, the cashier, books and regular thrifty household stuff.
So for those people that live on Vancouver Island, they're familiar with our SOS, which is like Wraps in that way. Yeah. It's a 2-story social enterprise to help look after older adults and programming for youth, families, and children. In your store, Wraps, though, all the money goes to veterinary care, right?
No, some of it goes to the maintaining. Some of it goes to the maintaining of our cat sanctuary. Our cat sanctuary and our adoption center. So, but it goes to buying cat food. It goes to cat litter. It goes to leashes for dogs. And then I would say the bulk of it goes to veterinary care.
Yeah. But the veterinary part is not, let's talk about that a little bit, because not everybody gets a full subsidy, right?
Correct.
Okay, so what happens when people come into a vet?
Well, they would go for a vet to see the vet like they would anywhere else. You would get a veterinary consultation.
Yeah.
You would tell the veterinarian your need. From there, it would go to the CEO AL, and he would determine how much, it really does depend on what these thrift stores. If I have a terrible week, then my you know, my resources are limited, right? He calls a thrift store, says, how much money can we do? This thing's going to cost X amount of dollars. How much can the thrift store support? And then we go from there. So it's done case by case. Everybody has to prove a need. You can't just say I'm broke.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to prove a need, and we go from there, depending on the need, what needs to happen.
Yeah. So for the store itself, to be able to support, like, I mean, don't misunderstand me, but I'd love to see if we can get some donations for you through this program and through this venue. You know, on average, what does it cost to look after a cat in a cat sanctuary?
I think it's $5,000 for their lifetime.
For their lifetime. And cats can live for a good long time, right?
My cat died 2 weeks ago, and she was 19 years old.
Right.
She outlived all of her kittens. And Raps has taken, that's why she lived to be so long. Raps took very good care of her over her lifespan.
Yeah.
And so yeah, about $5,000 for a cat in a cat sanctuary. You know, I don't know what the average bill is, depends on what's wrong with your animal, right?
Of course. Yeah. I know that just recently, of course, I've mentioned at the top of the hour that my mother-in-law lost her dog, Bear. This is for us 3 animals that have gone in the last year. Very difficult time in our family, because pets they're an extension of the family unit. They're like children in some ways, and we never want them to be harmed or hurt. But I won't deny that the vet bills for Bear were very expensive, and putting Bear down was a very difficult decision to make.
You know, one thing I love about Raps is that we do home euthanasia.
Yes.
So, you know, our veterinarian will go to your home and help you with that. We do that. The other thing I love about Raps is, I lost my train of thought there.
No, that's okay. I mean, the part that's really important is the at-home care, because in the case of Bear was a very big dog, and we had in-home care, and the support and the love and the kindness that was bestowed on the whole family and that dog for the dog to pass over to Rainbow Bridge was extraordinary. Now, by the way, I'm not advocating, that, it's all about animals that are dying. On the contrary, animals require support. They require care. And sometimes people just simply cannot afford to do that.
When they, I remember what I was going to tell you. Raps also has a couple of other social enterprises that people might be interested in. Raps has got a white report about trying to get veterinary care tax deductible.
Oh, that's great.
We're also trying to get veterinary care put onto your medical. So, your extended medical you might get from work or things. We're trying to get veterinary care included in your extended medical. So we're also politically motivated that way, trying to get vet care tax deductible, and because your animals are like your children.
They are. Yeah.
And Raps is also trying to get your medical coverage the same way you would for your own kid.
Well, and I think that if you can have that happen, it's probably the best godsend there is, because really that's the problem. Like even there are some programs that are really wonderful, like Elder Dog, which people have heard me speak about before. There's a lot of really great opportunities to help people to maintain the lives of their pets. But for some people, it's just really a difficult thing to do. Even when we look at, in my community, I don't know how it is in Richmond, but in our community, we have a very high homeless population or unhoused population. And what we find is that a lion's share of them have dogs that come along with them, or cats that come along with them as comfort animals, right? And so I think that we need to look at animal care a whole lot differently. We need to be more present.
Did you hear about the Gastown fire? There was a fire in Gastown, and it is where a lot of displaced individuals lived.
Yeah.
And they had their animals in there. They lost a couple of animals in there because of the fire. So while they were scrambling to find places for these things to go, Raps went there. We have an animal food bank. Yes. And we supplied all the food for those animals for a month, probably a long time. And so we do have the animal food bank, because we do understand hopelessness and being displaced. And I mean, when the floods happened, we had our food bank send stuff for the floods. When the fires happened, we've always sent what we could to help
I had no idea that there was a dog food bank or like a pet food bank, but I love that. Like I'm charged just hearing that there's such a thing out there. I know it's not on Vancouver Island at this time. And if it is, please somebody call in and correct me for sure. Like feel free to let me know that there is, but I'm not aware of a pet food bank. I am curious though, because there's been so much discussion about Ukraine in the last while and displaced animals. Have you seen an influx of animals that are coming in from Ukraine or other countries in the world?
Well, again, because I'm in a thrift store, I'm not really around to know about the actual animal itself.
Sure.
But what I can tell you is we have offered to send food to the Ukraine out of our food bank. We've tried to do some things. People have brought in their animals to make sure their animals made it from the plane ride over. But really what those animals need that remain in the Ukraine is they need your money. Because pet food's heavy, all that stuff. They actually need your money so that we can send what we need to them as opposed to the stuff.
Yeah, because the stuff weighs a lot and it's, you're paying for poundage. Yeah.
I had one lady come and she bought me out of all my leashes and all. I gave her a screaming deal.
Of course.
One of my assistant managers is from the Ukraine. And so I'm particularly hot about that because of my relationship with Tatiana. And so we offered to help and stuff, but she paid $10,000 to move a little, half a container to the Ukraine with pet supplies. So I think
you might have gotten more out of the money by sending the dollars for sure.
Send the dollars, they can go to Poland and ship them from Poland. So so that's what I recommend. Anybody who wants to help with that effort to find, even the United Way is taking stuff. I don't know, but United Way, Red Cross, all those guys. Ask them what they're doing for pets and how you can offer money.
And how can people, this is a good segue. So I'm going to stop us just for a minute. We'll do a little station identification. And I'm reminding people that it's the middle of the show. This is the time when you got to go get that piece of paper and that pen so that you can write down information about wraps and how you can also donate and even consider maybe making a monthly donation to support the organization. I mean,
you can actually support a cat. You can actually support an individual cat. You can sponsor a cat in the cat sanctuary. It's $25 a month. And we'll send you a picture of the cat you're sponsoring and how it lives and all that stuff.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Okay, so we're going to come back to that in a second. In the meantime, go get your piece of paper and your pen. And while you're doing that, I'm going to talk to you about something entirely different just for a moment. Again, if you have just tuned in, thanks for tuning in to Act 3 on CHLY 101.7 FM. If you're watching this as an encore performance, because I'm going to show it twice, not just this week, but next week as well, it is because I am having a baby. And so, well, I'm not, but my kids are. And so you may have the luxury of listening to this twice. So don't worry if you don't have your paper, because I may very well have an encore of this the following week. Having said that, you can also watch us on the YouTube station. Make sure you tune in to YouTube and like and subscribe. If you're also watching Act 3, you can find us on Shaw Cable 4 island-wide. You know what to do. Just make sure you tune in, and segments from the radio program as well as other program segments are part of that show as well. So don't forget to tune in to Shaw Cable 4. But what I really am excited to tell you about is a show that's coming up very, very soon. And that show is called Shine 2022. We are also trying to raise some money for mental health and addictions right here in beautiful Nanaimo. And we have a wonderful, wonderful show coming for you. There will be 2 hours of live entertainment. It is going to be the social event of the season. You'll find it on September the 17th. So make sure you keep watching and listening for more information on Shine 2022. Now that we've had a chance for you to go grab your piece of paper and your pen, I want you to know who's on the show today in our Zoom booth. Karen Kamachi from Wraps is with us today. She lives over on Vancouver, or in Vancouver, not here on Vancouver Island. However, her reach is great and wide and strong. So if you are listening and you want to become a part of this, and I really hope you do, please make sure that you listen for the details coming up very, very shortly. Welcome back to the program, my friend. How are you doing now?
I am well.
That's good. I first of all, I'm so delighted to see you. I know that we've kept in touch over Facebook for a long, long time now, but it's always a pleasure to have FaceTime and catch up and do all of that stuff. But finding you on Discovery Channel was really quite a lovely surprise. So, I mean, I knew it was coming because Kristen, you told me, and in all fairness, I knew. By the way, if on TELUS, I'm on TELUS, I'm not on Shaw. I mean, I'm on Shaw, but I'm my carrier.
Right.
Anyway, long story short, if you don't have it as part of your bundle, you do need to subscribe to the channel. I invite you to subscribe. It's very cheap. It's $5. You won't even know it's there. Just go get it, right?
There's another way.
Oh,
there's another way to watch this too. You can go and you can download the CTV app. And watch it for free on the CTV app. You just hit the Discovery button and Pets and Pickers is there.
Oh, that's great to know. That's fantastic. So take that $5 and give it to Raps instead.
Dude, support a cat. Support a cat at a kitty cat sanctuary.
Support a cat. So let me talk again. You started to talk about the Adopt a Cat program.
Sponsor a cat.
Sponsor a cat. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Because some of these cats are unadoptable for various reasons. Some of them have AIDS, some of them have leukemia, some of them pee a lot. You know, my favorite cat, he's a peer boy. And I just love him. So yeah. So what you can do is you can go to raps.com, raps.com, and it will say donate, or you can sponsor a cat at our cat sanctuary, and they have lots of pictures there, and you can pick the cat that you want to sponsor. And I think it's it used to be anyway, $25 a month, and I assume it's the same.
That's amazing. And how can people access like your stores, right? Do you have an online presence on the store? Or do they have to come to Richmond?
I'm on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm also, you can get a hold of us through raps.com as well. And we have 2 locations to come see us at. If you want to come see the bigger one, if you want to see the people who are in the TV show, we are at 9040 Francis Road in Richmond. And that's where I'm usually 90% of my time I'm at.
You live there.
And that is usually where we do a lot of the picking, right in front of the store.
That's
right
amazing.
In the parking lot.
So let me talk about that picking stuff, because in the program you were talking about, and earlier today in today's broadcast, we were talking about the 170, containers, right? So they bring you the container. Like, what kind of space do you have to have 170 containers sitting there, or do they come and drop them and take them away? Like, how does all that work?
Well, both. Okay. I mean, at the store level, they drop 2. They have a great big crane that comes by and drops 2. I think in the TV show, it actually shows you dropping the bins. Yeah. So they do that at the store, but they needed their space. So they had 170 bins. So I can't tell you where they are because we do have security.
Of course.
For not wanting people to know where they are. And through the TV show, you will eventually find out where some of them are. Yeah. But there's, I probably still have 80 more to go.
That's phenomenal. And I don't want to direct people to that part of it anyway. I was just curious about the sheer space, right? It has to be
massive. It's a massive, we actually call it the bin city because it's so big.
I can't wait to actually film there. I'm looking forward to having that opportunity. Now, I'm curious as well about some of the things that I saw in the opening of the show. So I noticed there was a huge statue, like with a...
Poseidon is one of my favorite.
Like, tell us about that.
Poseidon was 12 feet high.
Oh my God.
12, he was, it's a good story because in the TV show, they actually put drones over top of us while they're filming. And usually the camera crew, we're not finding anything. We'll just put the drone up in the air. So they put the drone up in the air and we open the bin and there's Poseidon. I'm like waving at the drone, drop the drone, drop the drone. And so they all came running in. And it's 12 feet high it's got the stand, which was about 4 feet high. And then Poseidon himself was 8, like he barely fit inside the bin.
Wow.
And then you brought him out, he's made out of fiberglass. So he wasn't ripping heavy. He was made out of fiberglass, but he was
so heavy, like the way it was painted.
Fiberglass, so he absolutely wasn't. But the thing about it is our bins that are extra are outside.
Yeah.
So they've been through rain, sleet, or hail. And so is Poseidon. His stand that he stood on was upside down and it was full of water for 3 feet. So when we knocked it over, 3 feet of water.
No way.
Went everywhere. Because they've been out in the elements, right? So
it's almost justice. It's Poseidon. It's
Poseidon's one of my favorite picks.
Poseidon, so it's almost, it makes perfect sense that Poseidon would be
and piles of water. And you know what, that's been, I don't want to tell you because you'll see it on TV, but that been provided a lot more than Poseidon.
I'm sure it did. Yeah.
It
I know
really did.
in some of the opening credits as well, you show a lot of jewelry, a lot of pearls and things like that. Talk to us about the jewelry department at your store.
Actually, they tend to call me the jewelry expert because I really, really, really like jewelry.
I know you do. You're a crow like me.
Yeah. Yes, I like sparkle. So we get tons of jewelry. I mean, I found thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of jewelry, gold, coins, stamps, comic books, like so many comic books. It's been unbelievable.
Did you let Chris anywhere near that, or did you push him away?
Yes, he did. He gave a sizable donation for some, what were they?
Well, I remember it was the anniversary present that you got for him. Is that was one of those maybe
magazines?
Yeah, I thought
well,
so.
I got him the magazines. What his sister chopped up all his magazines when he was a kid. And what were those things called? He'll hit me, but I got him. He collected magazines when we were teenagers.
Yes.
And his sister chopped them up and put it all over a room, and he was still mad. And so I ended up getting 150 of them inside a locker. So he had to donate some money, but he has his collection back. So heavy metal. It was heavy metal.
Heavy metal. I actually remember him and those books from when we used to hang out in his basement and Steve Kirkbrand's basement.
Yep. And you know, those things, when he moved out, he left the magazines behind because he was a bit, you know, teenager transient. And his sister chopped them all up. So every Christmas I've heard about the chopped up things for 26 years.
Oh, Chris.
Yes. So I have replaced them now. We got them all in a locker, and we made a sizable donation to RAPS for those heavy metal magazines.
Fantastic.
But you know, I mean, the jewelry, I mean, if you like anything, what I tell my customers and what I'll tell your audience, if you like anything, you send me an email, you tell me what you're looking for. And if I find it, I'll email you back and you can come get it.
Isn't that fantastic?
Because we have, like, I have books of people wanting, you know, collecting teacups, collecting animals. I mean, some of the worst stuff we get is actually animals. Like I'm the Regional Animal Protection Society. So we go into a bin and we find a taxidermied eagle.
Wow.
So what the heck am I going to do with that thing, right? Or people donate their mom's fur coats.
Yeah.
Yeah, like lots.
That I'm not surprised about at all. There's still so many furs around. Yeah.
This store averages 300 bags of clothing a week.
So what happens to the stuff you can't sell? Do you have a budget for everything to go back to the landfill or to dispose of it, or like,
no, I mean, some of it hits, I mean, out of this
destroyed. There's no doubt it's not sellable
because it's broken or whatever. But as far as clothing is concerned, no, we have a fellow who takes all the stuff that's ripped, torn, dirty, and he takes it and he sends it to Somalia, and they make, you know how everybody's getting rid of their plastic bags and you're using your cloth bags for grocery?
Yeah.
They send all of the fabric to Somalia. They make those bags and then ship them back from our recycled clothing.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So we have a lot of that. We have a lot of customers that will fix our electronics or repurpose our electronics. So very little. I mean, it's got to be pretty, you know, if it's plastic and broken, it's probably the only thing that's hitting our garbage can.
Yeah, and it's probably then even going to the recycle part, isn't it? Really, or do you have recycling in the same way? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, cardboard. Boy, do I have cardboard! I have cardboard. I have regular, you know, metal. I have a metal recycler. He comes and gets our metal. You know, I have cloth recycling, and then, you know, I mean, the worst thing people can do is stop giving us your stuff in your garbage bag.
Yeah. Right.
No, put it in a box.
Put it in a box instead, because it's going to be saving an animal's life.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here at the thrift store, I sell one garbage bag worth of clothing for $27. So you can clothe your whole house for $27 if you come to the Rapsis store.
So when people walk into the store, what can they, well, actually, before I go to that question, I have another question that's sort of piggybacking off of what we were talking about with the eagle. And we were talking earlier about the bomb, and we were talking about the guns and all of that stuff. So I'm like, first of all, how often do you find these? I mean, the coats, I would imagine you find a lot of that, but how often do you find armaments, and how, like, what do you do with them? Like, have you,
all the time, Kathy, like
I'm gobsmacked that you see so much of that.
All the time. Like in the TV show, you're going to see some of that being sold because it's collectible. If it's ammunition, the police said to me when I brought the bomb, stop bringing it to us, just call, we'll come get it.
I like it better that they'll come get it. I like it better that you're not walking around with any more bombs. Thank you very much.
Bombs and bullets. I walk around with bullets in my purse for a week. Yeah, don't do that. We'll just come get it. You know, we find a lot of drugs and drug paraphernalia, so they will come get it. But, you know, I mean, it depends on what we find. There's certain rules about us selling guns. Yeah. So we have to follow those rules. We are very good friends with Able Auctions. And so Able Auctions will auction some of our stuff off. We have 2 auctions a year. You'll see something like that on TV.
That's good.
We have parking lot sales, all sorts of stuff, but sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's really hard figuring out. You know, I used to have a little lady that used to make teddy bears for kids out of the fur coats. Yeah. Because I can't save those animals' lives. Like that coat was dead for 30 years, right? So I can't save its life. So at least we can repurpose it so it's not wasteful. Yeah. So we had a little lady that used to make teddy bears out of them for kids. But COVID really hit the thrift store hard. So yeah, if you know anybody that needs a pile of fur coats to repurpose, I'm your girl.
Yeah, I just might actually, if I think about that a little bit, right, that on our show on Shaw, it's called The Show on Shaw, not the Act 3 show, but another show that we have. We showcased a woman who was making teddy bears out of the blankets of the, they were love bears for the children that were lost, right? And so, but I can see where that might be a nice fit. Before I because that's a tangent that makes no sense and I can't cut it up the radio show, so I'm not going to. So we'll just keep going with that. But what I'm curious about, when you're opening up those bins, first of all, the bins they've been abandoned by people. Is there a statute of limitations? Like, if somebody come back and decided that they wanted to find Poseidon, is there, or their bomb?
I'm sure UPAC has got its rules, but if you don't pay your fees in X amount of days, you forfeit your stuff. But some of those bins have been there since 2015 because we actually get a label on the bin. Yeah, we get the weight and the label. So some of them have been abandoned for years and years. UPAC didn't do anything with them, and then they came across me. You know, I've had people donate their whole houses.
I just love that they came across to you because, like I said, even the first episode, first of all, I really want to throw kudos to this show. Pets and Pickers, okay, on Discovery Channel. I laughed, I cried, I felt for that dog that had to have its little nose repaired.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Dexter. My goodness. Dexter, that was his name, Dexter. Oh my God. That was the cutest dog, right? But I found myself getting really emotional during the program. And I think that one of the key elements of drawing an audience in is to get people to feel something, feel anger, feel laughter, feel anything, something. When you started working on set, did you have any idea that this was going to be as impactful?
None. It's been 2.5 years. It's been a labor of love. We did it right through the pandemic, even when the store was closed. Yeah. We were being filmed and hopping in bins, even when the store was closed. It's been a labor of love and a lot of bloody hard work to save a lot of animals, and it's been worth every damn second of it.
Yeah, no doubt. I can see that, and I can feel that from the show itself. I was moved by the cat sanctuary. I was moved by a couple of the doctors that are part of your team at the animal hospital. So, I mean, even though we're talking a lot about the thrift store, it is it's a multi-level conversation. There's many different components to make RAPS the success story that it is. And like you said, there's nothing like it in Canada or anywhere else as far as we know, right?
That's right. That's right. Not in this sort of way, not in this social enterprise sort of way. We are one of the biggest not-for-profit veterinary hospitals around, that is supported by the thrift stores. Yeah, and the fact that I get bins was really great. I mean, the producer walked in, he needed some veterinary care for his own animal, got talking to the CEO, then he met me, and I said, hey, you should do something about thrift store, because I get a lot of weird people in my store, and the next thing you knew, we were a TV show.
Well, you know, that's the way things happen, right? Good things happen to good people, and you're one of the best people I know. So I'm just
Thanks,
super,
darling.
super
I love you too.
excited. I love you too. But I'm excited for you, because I think that not only are you going to help a lot of animals, we were talking a few minutes ago about the advocacy piece, right? Into sort of taking a look at the way that we view our animals from a healthcare perspective, and finding solutions for some very complex problems with COVID and with supply and demand and the cost for services, not just in veterinary care, but in all sort of areas.
Well, I mean, there's a thing called the COVID pet, right? Where a ton of people went and adopted pets that they weren't prepared to keep because of COVID, because they were locked up in their house, they were lonely, got a dog, realized they're a lot of work, and then didn't want the dog or cat or rabbit or whatever it was.
So rabbits are my spirit animal, and they're my favorite little creatures.
My gosh. They are over here in Richmond.
We need to talk about these rabbits. Tell me more.
There's tons. I mean, by law, like we only have so many rabbits. You're only allowed to, but they are actually a wild thing here in Richmond. Yeah. They are almost too many for Richmond to handle. Yeah, back in my thrift store, there's like 25 bunnies out the back, right? And there's all my staff out there flinging food. And I'm like, hey, the rats like it too. Stop being the bunnies.
Yeah, no, that's true. There's something to be said for that, because the rats really, really like all of it.
Really, hey, and we are in Richmond.
Yeah.
And they are here. Yeah. Well, I mean, we've had rats jump out of the bins, scared the hell out of us.
Oh,
right? They just jumped out at Amy and I, and you were scraping us off the roof.
I can only imagine.
Oh, we've had lots of, you'll see that in the TV program about how wildlife has impacted us at the thrift store. In the bins, you'll see as the TV show goes along about how that happens. But yeah, I mean, we've had all sorts of critters in and out of those bins. Well, Amy's a particular bug hater.
Well, yeah, I would be too. and I know that in many thrift stores, there was always the concern about bed bugs and things like that, but you have a system for that, don't you?
Yeah, well, I don't take beds. Partly because of space. Yeah. And I wouldn't take them because of the bed bug thing. I might start taking the frames and the headboards and stuff, but I need a bigger store. So I've been working at the Boss for like 3 years. I need a bigger store. So let's see what happens.
So when you say that you have furniture as well, I noticed that in the episode, there was some chairs, there was that marvelous, why don't you tell our audience a little bit, of course we want to encourage them to watch the program, but for those that we want to tease them a little bit, there was the 1956, 57, whatever it was, early rock and roll piano and speaker thing.
Oh yeah, that's an organ. Mm-hmm. That's a Harman organ. If you live in the Lower Mainland, you know of a place called Innovative Audio. Chris is a big, he has fixed stereos for Innovative Audio. He's fixed the turntables. I'm not allowed to call them record players anymore.
I know. We have to be careful. We're aging ourselves terribly, but anyway.
Terribly, yeah. So, so Chris knows about Innovative Audio, so do I. Yeah. And so does Marty, one of my other sidekicks, Marty. Marty's an interesting human. He was the manager for the Guess Who. He was manager for Ringo Starr. He was manager for Billy Idol, for a lot of famous people. When he came to the thrift store one day and he said, I'm sad, Charlie from the Rolling Stones died. And that was one of his friends. I'm like, holy crap, you are somebody.
No doubt, hey.
I can run around and say, I know,
Yeah.
He's a somebody. And so him telling me, when Marty tells me that's a thing, I know that's a thing.
That's a thing. Yeah.
That's a thing. That's a thing. I had no idea. It looked like an organ in my mom's house. Like I had,
totally.
I don't know.
When I saw it and I was like, I used to play the organ when I was a little kid. You might not remember that, but when I was a little kid, I used to play it. And oh my God, like I saw that and I was like, that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. I don't play now and I haven't played for many, many years, but it was just really interesting to sort of see the way that this, not everything that comes from a pick is usable, but so much of it is so unique.
I don't know if you noticed, Kathy, when they opened the bin and they found the Harmon, but before that, as they're pulling stuff out, they pulled a big bench.
Yes, I saw that.
Remember seeing the bench?
I did. What? Tell me about the bench.
The bench was actually 7 feet long, 5 feet deep.
Really?
So your legs wouldn't hit the ground, right? It was built in the turn of the century. So we put it out in the parking lot. One of my customers slammed on his brakes, actually came in and told me about that. And actually the bench was turn of the century, older than the Harmon. So that was a really great bin. And here's the thing, just like I love vintage stuff, Amy in particular loves vintage old stuff.
Yeah.
I tend to like jewelry. Marty tends to like music memorabilia. We knew that we had money for animals that day.
Yeah.
Because our gun bins are just household stuff that we can fill up the thrift store with. But I gotta tell you, that day we knew we had money to help some animals.
Yeah, and I noticed that when you were talking about that particular bin, that was a big day. And then, of course, Dexter needed the money. And so you were able to pay for full pull.
All of it.
Yeah.
We paid for all of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you don't know about Halo, you know, the stone chihuahua?
Yeah. Oh,
that one.
Halo.
Yeah, poor Halo. Actually, his owner was an employee of mine. And yeah, she worked for me I had a pop-up thrift store, and it was only for a few months at Christmas. We put Pile of Antiques in the store in New West.
Yeah.
And it just popped up and went away. And so when it went away, she went on about her life. And then a few months later, Alicia called up and said, something's wrong with Halo. So they ran the dog in, of course, found out that she had an edible in an off-leash park. So please be careful about what you drop in an off-leash park, because that is exactly what happened, right? Some person was walking through and dropped their edible, and you think, oh, it's just a hunk of brownie. Well, what you don't know is a 3-pound dog is going to pick it up behind you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, Alicia was very upset about
such a beautiful, tiny little animal. And it's
3 pounds,
scary, right?
3 pounds worth of dogs. Yeah.
Oh my God.
3 pounds. So of course it impacted him worse because, he doesn't have the poundage to diffuse all that THC, right?
Yeah, no kidding,
So,
right?
Yeah. And I've met Halo like 100 times. He is a bundle of fun, that little dog.
Oh, well, he's so cute. You said that mostly you get cats, but once in a while you have dogs. Do you rehome dogs as well from time to time?
The Richmond City Shelter is being rebuilt. And so because it's being rebuilt, the SPCA has come in so if you lose your dog in Richmond right now, your dog could land up in Chilliwack.
Oh, wow.
Because there isn't a shelter here, because they're rebuilding a new one. So in the meantime, RAPS is going to build its own shelter. It's going to build its own dog sanctuary. So any dogs that we have right now, we put into foster care. So all animals go onto petfinder.com. If you want to find an animal, a dog, you go onto petfinder.com, see what RAPS has to offer, what other rescues have to offer. Cats, dogs, whatever, you just put it into Petfinder, and you can find out where your favorite breed, kind of cat, is. But right now, if we do have dogs, they're all in foster care.
Yeah. Well, the good news is they're in foster care, right? And that, yes. It doesn't always turn out to be their forever home, but I think, you made such an important point about the COVID pups, the COVID dogs, right? Like there's, and cats and rabbits and lizards and you name it. I mean, I'm sure that there's a significant amount of animals that have been, left behind now that people are realizing that having a pet is more than just, saying, oh, cute puppy, here's a little nibble, right?
One thing RAPS has done for the city of Richmond anyways, we've not eliminated, but we have decreased substantially the amount of feral cats here in Richmond because of the cat sanctuary. Someplace to put the feral cats and their kittens. We can also catch, spay, and release or whatever. So that the stray.
Approximately how many cats do you have in the cat sanctuary?
Last time I heard around 500.
Holy mackerel, that's a lot of cats.
Yeah, it's a lot of cats. When you come for a visit, I'll take you for a tour.
Yeah, for sure.
The cat sanctuary used to have 1,000 cats when I was there. a decade ago, or more than that, 14 years ago, it had 1,000 cats. It was probably too many cats for that space, but now it's perfect. It's literally has the perfect amount of cats. But I mean, it's got, oh gosh, I don't know, mobile homes,
Yeah.
3 of them, 3 mobile homes, about, I don't know how many sheds for homes for cats. I mean, if I'm ever stressed out, I go to the cat sanctuary. They have a place called the tea room inside the cat sanctuary.
Yeah.
You can sit and have a cup of tea, read a book, and have 5 million cats. Well, not, have a ton of cats sitting on your lap.
I know I'm not allergic, so I'm on my way. I'm in.
You got to. And, if the public wants to go visit, it is open to the public on Saturdays and Sundays. I recommend you go online and you purchase a ticket. All the $12 that you pay to get into the cat sanctuary goes to the better care of those animals there.
Yeah.
So you pay your $12 and you get a tour of the cat sanctuary, and then you get some time just to pat cats. Because the one thing we can't do is, with the staff we have, we can't sit around and pat all the cats all day, right?
No.
We got to clean, we got to do meds, we got to do stuff. So going there and petting the cats is really helpful.
Yeah.
And so here's the other thing is we're in great need of volunteers over here.
I was just about to ask you about that. So talk to us about the volunteer, because every single person I think that works at RAPS,
including me,
including you, is volunteer.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. And I've been doing it a long time.
A long time.
Here, if you want to volunteer at the thrift store, if you work over 5 hours a week, I'll give you 50% off anything you want to purchase.
Nice.
If you're a volunteer at the thrift store. A lot of people who like a treasure hunt sort of atmosphere like working here. If you go and help at the cat sanctuary, you could be either feeding cats, you could be litter scooping, you could be washing you could be changing their beds, you name it, you could be doing it over there.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you can also help at the animal hospital. They help with the cleaning crew usually, and they'll direct you there. Administration even could use some help if you particularly can type fast or answer a phone. So RAPS was built, the backbone of RAPS is our volunteers. And I got to tell you, I lost 90% of my volunteers because of COVID.
I'm not surprised. I know that that's an issue for most organizations, but I was particularly curious because I know that thrift stores, as a rule, if they're a social enterprise, a rule, it's all run by volunteers, and it's hard to get people. I mean, you guys had to close as well, I would imagine, during COVID, which probably hit you.
3 months I had to close.
Yeah.
During COVID. I do have a couple of paid employees because, for example, Amy, I can't have a volunteer drive the truck. Right, because it's an insurance problem.
Of course.
So we do go around picking stuff up. So I do have a few paid people, but the vast majority here are volunteers, and it's hard. I got to tell you,
I can only imagine.
It's hard.
We're coming to the end of the program, and there's 2 things that have to happen before I can close out. Number 1 is I'd like you to shout out all the information about how people can find RAPS and what to do about donations and volunteering and all of that. How do they reach you, Karen?
Well, they can do it a couple ways. They can email me at karen@rapsbc.com, or they can go directly to RAPS BC, and you can look up the donate button, and you can figure out if you want to sponsor cat monthly or if you just want to do a one-time donation.
Yep.
You can email Mandy at rapsbc.com if you're interested in volunteering in any one of those locations.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Final question I have for you at the end of the day, my listeners are all so very, very used to, and thank you so much for tuning in. This show is the show that it is because people tune in like you. So thank you for tuning in, because we have good guests. We have guests like Karen Kamachi at RAPS.
Oh, thanks.
If you can walk away though and offer up a little piece of wisdom to the audience, what would be your teachable moment for what it is you do?
Donate your stuff. Don't throw your stuff.
Yeah.
Remember that it really is true that your junk is somebody else's treasure. And every time somebody donates something to my thrift stores in particular, you're saving a life. So donation saves lives, whether it be your stuff or your money. Donation saves lives.
Well, I'm hoping that people are getting the same chills that I have received from not only watching your show on Discovery Channel. You said Thursday
Yep,
nights at 6
every
o'clock,
Thursday, 6
every
p.m.
Thursday night at 6 o'clock. I really encourage you to put your tape on record, watch every single program.
It's
Please
important.
contact, it's important.
It's important.
Please contact RAPS. Give a little bit of money to my dear friend. It's going to the right place. And today you can save a life. So make sure you do. Thanks for tuning into Act 3. Super glad you joined us today. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.